So I've had some questions on the 2.81 and 2.82 video activities, and I can see where there are some questions because they're, I think, assuming that you've done some of the reading and you understand kind of what they're asking for here. So this one here, it's test the interface assignment, and so I'm going to kind of walk you through. So down here you have this blue cable. This is called a console cable. Cisco ships these with their equipment. And so from the console cable, we should be able to hook it up to a RS-232 or serial port on a PC, and then we should be able to link it to a console port on their switch. These things are all movable when you hook them, so you can see I could take it and run it over here to this switch into the console port. I'm just clicking and dropping it. So we plug console cables into the console ports, and that'll let us configure these switches from a PC. So just know, normally in the field we actually run around with a laptop, and we'll pull up our PC desktop and we have an application loaded. So I use PuTTY and TerraTerm, which I'll show you guys those in a second. And those two applications you can download, and they both have the speed settings in there. So once I've clicked on the terminal inside of the desktop, so you can see there's a terminal application on the desktop tab, and I put all the default settings for configuring gear. So any and every manufactured piece of equipment, if it's got a console port, uses a serial cable and this 9600/891 setting. And so by doing that, I actually now have the actual switch interface. So hopefully you guys have learned that you can type enable to get to administrative mode. And if you set a password, of course, it's going to ask you for a password. So at this point, we can do some things like show interfaces. Spell it right. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring up and display the interface and its status. So you can see port 1 is up and connected, and I can see the MAC address that they're going to discuss throughout the curriculum. And I can see if we're receiving packets or dropping packets. I can see errors. So this is a way for us to check the status of an interface. So we can see FA01 should be online because that's a connection between these two switches. And then also FA06 should be online because that's where that PC is connected. So if I press space here some more, you can see we'll flow down. How far did I get? We're at 03. You can see if the interface isn't plugged up, you get a down situation. So it's turned off or it's down. So there's 8. So we passed up 6. So everything other than 6 and 1 should be offline. So there's 4, it's down. There's 5, it's down. And so when a switch is online and working, it should say up. There's something else just so you guys can see it. You can actually, if you wanted to, instead of looking at all of the interfaces, maybe I just want to check one of the two that are hooked in. So I can do a show interface and then the interface number, and it pulls up that specific interface, and I can see if it's up and online. So this one's good. The cables are good. That's why we get these green lights. We could move the console cable over to the other switch, and we could check the interfaces there, but we're gonna have the same results. So I think that that's all that they wanted you to do in this activity here, is just make sure you understand the interfaces and what you're looking for to see if there's problems. So something else that students run into a lot is those interfaces if they've been shut down. So I like to do an interface range fast Ethernet, and then I'll do like a 0 through 1 through 24 if it's a 24 port switch. Press enter, and now you see I'm connected to all 24 ports, and I can make a configuration change. So one of the things we do is we go in here and we'll go shutdown. So what happens is all of those interfaces go offline. And so if I do exit back, like nothing connected to the switch. This entire network, as far as this switch is concerned, is offline. Show interface FA01. And just so you guys can see, if somebody had done something like that, which we do by default, and then you were trying to plug a piece of equipment in and bring it online, because it's in this administratively down mode, nothing can connect to it. And so we do, for security reasons, we do that intentionally. That way somebody goes and plugs into a wall outlet that's cabled to our switch, it doesn't just come on, because we only want wall outlets and computers connecting to our switches if they're supposed to. So anything that's not in use, that's not supposed to be in use at that moment, should be turned off on the switch. And we do that with that shutdown command. And then so what we would do is we'll leave all those other ports off, which is noted by that administratively down. And we would do configure terminal. And then go to each individual port and do a no shutdown. So it's kind of weird. We do shutdown to turn it off, but when we're reversing commands, anytime we want to do the opposite, if we want to bring it up, we do no shutdown. And so we want to do that to the two ports that are actually in use. And you can see that they've changed to orange because there's activity there, and these things are actually negotiating connections now. So there's a process of auto negotiation. They're checking to make sure that there's not a problem with the line, that we're not going to create a problem on the network, or that what the speed of these two links is supposed to be. And once the devices, so in this case the PCA talking to switch port FA06, once the switch and the PC have agreed upon whether they can send traffic both ways or one way, or if this speed link is supposed to be a 10 or 100 or 1,000, once they've negotiated all that, then it goes fully online and you see the green lights. Hope that helps solve the problem with the interfaces lab.